Hello, I'm continuing to analyze chess in movies. Today's topic is chess shown in pawn sacrifice. Obviously, I can't show all of the games at once, so today we are looking at all the games where Bobby wasn't a grandmaster yet. So the first position occurs when Bobby is put to sleep. You can obviously see that both rook are hanging, and white can just take for free, but Fischer calculates c4, bishop takes, and knight check. Okay, at least after the knight check, you have another intermediate move and the rook is lost. Maybe this was a chess blindness exercise. Let's imagine the rooks aren't there. Well, c4 still drops a pawn, but at least Bobby saw that. Okay, Fischer's first challenge is playing a resident chess master ranked number 25 in New York. Alright, they play Queen's Gambit, and e4 and knight c6 moves lead me to a conclusion this was the order. White is much better here as they won the center, and bishop c4 is coming. After the cut, we see the other position, and it's quite interesting. White's bishop is hanging, their pawn is far advanced, and black king is still in the center. The best continuation is e takes f7 check, e5 sacrificing a bishop, e6 rook trade, castles, check, black creates a counter chance, white defends it, then brings the queen closer. Knight d4 is a really great approach, and white wins a knight. Of course, it's over for black. However, little Bobby didn't find this tough variation. Understandable. Instead, he takes the pawn, and Chessmaster takes his bishop. It cuts again to the end of the game where they are pretty exhausted, and here black's best decision is not winning a bishop saving theirs, not getting a queen versus rook endgame, but queen a5 because after a couple of checks, queen a6 and b6 with threats all over white's position, and after bishop g3 there's a beautiful rook sacrifice which can't be taken because mate on f2, and after rook e3 interference, white runs out of pieces and queen b1 checkmate is unstoppable. Wow. But the chess master plays queen a8, which is also tricky. Bobby takes the bishop, which blunders forced mate after check, and queen e2. So Fischer is upset about the loss. He's tired, but he says, again. The chess master likes his passion and play style, invites him to the chess club, where Bobby plays a lot games, including this position against the chess master, where he tells him to hurry up and make a move. And it's strange. What is he thinking about? White only has one legal move, after which it's mate. But before we can see the continuation, we're shown a game that Bobby played in his new chess club. Here he plays a Ruy Lopez with black. Now we see older Fischer playing this chess master. Now the position is different. The mating idea is the same. And of course, the prodigy finds it and declares, we were shown an open game. And after that, a game in the park, which is black and white for some reason, maybe to show how long the chess master took to play his move. But okay, here, white is winning, and Fischer's opponent finds the best move, which is knight takes pawn, simply winning it. And after rook 8 and rook trade, black gets some activity, but is still obviously down a piece. You can tell Bobby Fischer isn't happy with the situation either. Bobby's next game was against a chess player named Stone. However, he couldn't set up a defense strong enough to hold Bobby, and after rook e1 check, he resigned. Why? Well, after king up, rook to the side, and black defends the back rank, rook takes pawn, rook trade is a possible continuation where black has 2 extra pawns, and after the queens are traded, it's over. The next game is played in the park by Bobby, who's already aiming at the US Championship victory, and a man in the hat. Fischer easily finds rook g6 check, king up only move, rook b4, after which white's best try is rook blocks, giving up a rook, but the man plays king up and black finds this mate. The next game is played at the Rosenwald Memorial Tournament, the Marshall Chess Club, and this is a really famous game between him and Donald Byrne, titled Game of the Century, for the spectacular sacrifice it featured. So it starts with the English, black fianchet toes, and white builds a strong center, d5 counter push, queen b3 to c4, and white again has this center, but black reroutes the knight. Here, the queen should have gone down, but that's just an inaccuracy, and black goes up with the bishop. Bishop g5 by white is a mistake, as knight a4, which you can't take because after the knight up, queen trade minor pieces, trade doubling the pawns, and another minor piece exchange. White is down a pawn because d4 gets taken, and using the queenside advantage, black is winning the endgame. Fischer's maneuver is brilliant. So Byrne plays queen back, now knight trade, knight takes e4, but bishop e7 with a fork, and the game is really heated up. Queen b6, c4, taking the rook is too risky, because the attack and after knight takes, taking again destroys white's weak king, so Byrne still fights with bishop c5 and gets a check, king f1. Now Fischer plays a spectacular move, bishop e6, after which taking the knight and losing a bishop back is best, and here black has an extra pawn with a queenside advantage. But what if you take the hanging queen? Byrne wanted to find out and got an answer. Bishop check, knight check, knight takes pawn, and black uses the windmill to get the bishop with an attack on the queen, then attack it again and get the rook. Now count, white took a queen and a pawn while black got two bishops, a pawn and a rook. So black won 2 points of material, and then rook takes pawn. White's kingside is suffocating with the queen being their only active piece. Knight takes pawn, rook trade, and white hopes to do something here. A bit of shuffling and bishop check, and all of black's 4 pieces participate in the attack with knight check, bishop b4, bishop b3, knight e2, and now black checks with the knight and mates with rook c2, getting a Vukovic mating pattern. What a brilliant game by Fischer. Then he goes to the hotel room where he analyzes a game, and based on not so good angles, I'm assuming that he's analyzing this position. I mean, look at it. Here it's white to play, and after rook takes, bishop defends, there's a queen check forcing the knight block. White gets 2 more pieces into the attack, and after queen check and back, they set up something on this diagonal and white's winning. There's a lot to analyze here, as well as the other move, which is probably even better, is knight f6 check, because now white sets up a discovery, pulls it off, gets a pawn, check, and here a check with the bishop is actually best. You can't take the knight because queen mate. So, bishop e7 and a surprising knight f6, now sacrificing a bishop which you can't accept due to queen check and smother mate. The only move that doesn't let a forced mate is rook h8, but after white takes the pawn, bishops are traded off and queen back. You can tell white is winning, and that's probably what Bobby analyzed. He grabs a newspaper and just goes h4, h5. The final game for today is that between Robert Fischer and Jesse Fischer. It was played on a tournament where Bobby received his Grandmaster title, and let's analyze it. It starts with d4, and we get a King's Indian by black, knight c3, knight toe, white occupies the center, and d6, f3 and e5 counterstrike, after which white defends the pawn and black castles, completing the classic King's Indian setup. Bishop d3, c6, queen d2, knight d7, and white pushes d5, willing to open up the position. Fischer takes there twice, letting Fischer's queen in, but also outposting his own knight, and Fischer chooses a spicy queen a5, predetermining the direction of this game. Fischer takes, knight back, and he defends the pawn, so b5, aggressive push, bishop attacks queen, queen b4, with it being exchange, but Fischer has opened up the b-file for the rook, bishop closes it for now, and another rook is driver to the open file. Rook trade, minor piece shuffling, the rook goes back to a8 passively, pawn up, knight up, white develops the final piece, provoking a trade which isn't as good as bishop e2. Bishop a6 was also good, but this trade makes it close to equal, because black has a tactic. Knight takes pawn, because after bishop takes, rook c8 pins it down and you can't save it. White takes the pawn, black gets the bishop, king escapes check, the bishop is happy on the long diagonal while white's knight is kind of stuck. A pawn march, exchange, and white makes a critical mistake, rook d3. Pawn up was best, as after en passant, white gets it back, after rook takes pawn, the knight is activated, and with the perfect play, it's drawn. However, rook d3 was played, which loses to rook check, revealing an attack on the knight. Bishop takes knight, bishop d4, and after f4 pawn push, rook e1 was an absolute killer blow, but Fischer plays rook c2, then king a1, and now white can take with check, and then go for the e-file again. But Fischer decides to go to d2, threatening another discovery, and here Fischer resigned, and as I said, Fischer received his Grandmaster title after this tournament, and it's the point where I end my first pawn sacrifice video. Shout out to this guy for the idea. If you like the video, and suggest other movies. Subscribe so I update the channel banner. See you later.